Hey everybody, Bart from Bicycle Rider YouTube, and I have a bike in my hands. This is the Trek Domane SL5 2023 model. And many of you have asked me to compare this to the Specialized Roubaix. I can now do that because Biloxi Bicycle Works, my little bicycle shop, is now a Trek dealer. So now I can get my hands on Trek and be able to do some comparison. Like I said, a lot of you have asked me to compare those two, and those two bikes, the Trek Domane and the Specialized Roubaix, really are competitors. They go neck and neck with each other. And of course, you guys know I've spent a lot of time on a Specialized Roubaix, all different generations of it. I've sold a lot of that bike to my friends, and it is a great bike, so I'm not going to say anything bad about the Specialized Roubaix. There are a few things about it as a Specialized dealer that has disappointed me. Most of it's, human error, and, the suspension technology that they use in the Future Shock has got a rubber boot. That rubber boot is pretty tough, but I've seen several of my customers rip that boot, and for a long time that boot was not available to purchase, and there was no replacements. If you look at my personal bike right now, my personal gravel bike, it's got the boot on it, and I've got a patch, a tire patch on it. I do have a replacement boot on now, so I'm going to fix my personal bike. But for a long time, some of those special parts were hard to get. I personally like the Future Shock, but it has, over the years, failed in certain instances, and I, wasn't able to really take care of a customer real well on those. But I don't want to say, like I said, the Specialized Roubaix is a great bike, but I'm so happy to see the Domane, so this is a competitor to that bike, and I really like the way this bike rides. There's some things about this bike that I like better than the Specialized Roubaix. You know me, I don't review bikes that I don't ride. And since I just became a Trek dealer in July, we're in August now, so a month ago, I haven't spent a lot of time on this bike. One, because I don't have my own personal Domane to go put through its paces. So this is a bike here that I have on the showroom, and I did take it for a couple test rides. I've been up and down, of course, riding in Biloxi. It's an urban situation here. There's some really good places to open up for some speed. And on the back bay of Biloxi, I have put this bike into some speed situations, and it is extremely fast. To me, it feels a little bit more aerodynamic than the Roubaix. I'm not sure if it is in wind tunnel tests, but it just feels like this bike was cutting through the wind. And on the back bay, we do get a lot of wind that comes off that that bay. And I have to say that this bike just seemed like it tracked really good in a crosswind, but yet when I got down on this bike into aerodynamic position, I got it on the hoods, this bike was extremely fast. We're coming out of July. Of course, July is Tour de France, and around here on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, we have something called Tour de Coast. I have put down a lot of my other bikes over the last month or so, and just done a lot of road riding. This bike has got a pretty high bar to rise, because I ride a lot of really nice road bikes. The Domane SL5 is their carbon fiber version, but it's not the SLR, so there's a couple steps above this. This is a $3,500 bike, and in August of 2023, $3,500 for a Shimano 105 new generation bike is a really good price. Some people who aren't into cycling or just starting to shop for bikes, and you think $3,500. Believe me, as someone that owns a bicycle shop, I see that $3,500 has become kind of the standard where a lot of bikes start getting good, and the Domane has gotten really good at that price. This is a Gen 4, so this is the newest generation, and it's a new iteration, so they just came out with this one. It's changed a little bit from the Gen 3s. I do have history with Domane because I am a bicycle mechanic, so I work on a lot of bikes. Just because I, was not a Trek dealer doesn't mean I didn't work on Treks. I work on a lot of Treks. So the ISO-Speed technology, that's their suspension dampening technology. I've always liked that. It's integrated into the frames. It doesn't cause a whole lot of problems. It's not really heavy, and it does dampen the ride. Now, this is an endurance geometry bike. Built into the endurance geometry, like I said, is this extra ISO-Speed technology. The Gen 3s before this had it front and back. The way they have laid out the carbon fiber on this bike, and this is the OCLV 500, probably some of the best carbon fiber you can get your hands on. They do make an 800 series that lightens it up, but it's quite a bit more expensive. So for the price point, the OCLV 500 is a fantastic carbon fiber. And the way they have engineered the new tube shapes on the front, they've been able to go away with the ISO-Speed dampener in the front end of this bike. It still has it in the back, and it's been redesigned for the back, so it's even lighter and simpler than it was in the past. But in the front, they've changed the front of this bike around a little bit. For one, you can put up to 38 millimeter tires. It comes with 32 stock. Now this is something that they have bested the Specialized Roubaix on, because the Specialized Roubaix goes up to a 33 millimeter tire. There's not a whole lot of 33 millimeter tires on the market, so I end up having to sell my customers a 32 millimeter tire, which is a pretty big tire, but the way things are going, it's not big enough. Especially, around here, we get a lot of people that want one bike to do gravel and do road. And 32 millimeters isn't really enough for the gravel. And when I say 32 millimeter, it is a road bike tire, so you can't get anything with too much knobby on it or traction. And that's the problem. Like, some people want to put a cyclocross tire on it, and the little knobs that stick out, just don't clear the fork spacing and the rear spacing. But on the new Domane, you can put up to a 38 millimeter tire, so that means you can put some gravelish tires on there. It's not like having a 42, but if you want a 42, you might as well go get a real gravel bike. This is a road bike that is capable of rougher surfaces, of mixed surfaces, gravel racing. We're lucky down here in the South. We don't have a lot of chunky gravel. We have hero gravel down here. And really, this is one of those bikes you can do both on. So I'm very impressed with the tire clearance. It does have places where you can mount a fender. So if you live in a wet location or you want a fender for commuting or something, you can't put a fender. And when you put a fender on, this bike can go up to a 35 max. But it's still, that is a lot bigger than a 32. So 38 millimeter tires you can put on this, and that does help dampen the front end. When they took the ISO-Speed out of here and the new carbon fiber frame that they designed, it's about 300 grams lighter than the previous version. I'm here on a Monday. We have the bike shop closed on Monday, so I can give all my employees 2 days a week off. Everybody deserves 2 days a week off. And I don't know what those guys did with my Park Tool scale, so I can't weigh it. But I did weigh it when I built this thing, and it was just bouncing off that 19-pound mark. So 19 pounds for a completely stock bike that has all the capabilities. An endurance bike is a really good weight. I mean, I'm picking this thing up. I'm a 150-pound guy. I'm 5'9". A lot of people ask how tall I am. And this is a size 54. And this bike fits me absolutely awesome. I don't have pedals on it on the moment. But this bike and I get along really good size-wise. I couldn't ask for a better fit than this at a 5'9" guy. An endurance bike just feels good anyway. I've been riding more of a race bike lately, and it felt good. I'm 54 years old, so it felt good to get on an endurance bike. And really, this bike did not slow me down. Our A group is riding really, really fast right now. I didn't go ride this with the A group guys just because we're doing 40 miles at a pop, and I don't want to put 40 miles on a bike that I'm selling out of the showroom. But I did put this bike through its paces, and I really loved the way it was nimble and it handled, and it was light and it was smooth. I could see myself. We've got a ride coming up, a 124-mile ride. I would love one of these personally to ride on that because at 124 miles, it's nice to have a comfortable bike that you can ride all day. And this is one of those you can ride all day bikes. That's for sure. Another really cool thing about this frame design is they give you internal frame storage. So there's a bag up here and you can put your tools. You can even put like a lightweight wind jacket. It keeps you from having a big bag on the back. And as aerodynamics get more important in 2023, everything's turning aero. So anytime you have something that's catching wind or dirty air, it's nice when you can get rid of that. So you see a lot of people riding with these big bags. That's fine if you need to bring the kitchen sink with you. I'll never say anything to you. But as soon as I can get rid of any of that kind of stuff and put it in the frame, for one, it stays dry, it stays clean, but aerodynamically, it does make a difference. Marginal gains. It's all about marginal gains, and if you don't think that your friends are taking advantage of marginal gains, and when you're out there riding in the Peloton, you're wondering why you're having to ride a little bit harder to keep up with them. Believe me, I own a bike shop. People come through this door of Biloxi Bicycle Works every day wanting to buy speed or wanting to buy aerodynamics. They want to get, they want to get the leg up on you. Of course, we're all friends. We're riding around, but they want to make things easier on themselves. And in this day and age, you can. So just know this is one of those bikes that really will improve your riding. If you're riding around on an old bike, and I ride with a lot of friends that have a lot of older generation bikes with different geometry. I've been riding road bikes for 40 plus years, and I've seen what changes. Things that the geometry has changes, and these are just so much more ergonomic than the bikes of 5 to 7 years ago. We have some beautiful roads north of town here in Biloxi that some of my friends are still riding 23 millimeter tires or 25 millimeter tires. And when I turn on some of those roads, that I don't feel the harshness of the road because I've got 28s on mine and newer geometry frames that just ride good. I love those back roads. There's no cars. The roads might be a little bit beat up, but I'd rather deal with that than no cars. And when you've got the right bike, all of a sudden, it smooths it out. Talk about smooth it out. I was talking about the rims and tires earlier. These are tubeless ready rims, tubeless ready tires. And that has been a trend lately, and a trend that I see working out for a lot of people, including myself. So tubeless ready is really nice to have. A lot of bikes will come with a tubeless ready tire, but not a rim, or vice versa. These Bontrager rims, I'm still getting used to them. This is an aluminum set here, and it's a Paradigm, wheel set. Like I said, I don't have a whole lot of history with this wheel set. It's a stock wheel set. Normally, I ride my bikes pretty stock, but I throw on, a nice set of rims on it. Sometimes the rims cost as much as the bike, but that's usually the one upgrade I do as a bike shop owner because I like to ride what my customers ride. But, someone walks into this door and they want the biggest bang for their buck is a set of wheels. But I've got to say that these wheels really didn't feel bad. They look good. I mean, they've got an aero profile. They're black. They look great on this bike. Looks great anyway. It's kind of this black with this, kind of a gold tint, a really nice badge. This bike's classy looking. I really like the look of this bike, actually. And I think the rims and the gum wall tires, everything just aesthetically, looks good. I do like the new the T45 bottom bracket. That is really nice. It's a bigger bearing. It's threaded in. It's robust. I think it's T45, T47. I'm just getting used to it. But I tell you what, I like it. As a bicycle mechanic, it's not press fit anymore. They're bigger bearing handles the load. just makes sense to me. So I'm really liking the bottom bracket standard. I wish everything would go like this, and it might. And that's the advantage of buying a new bike, is you get the newer technology. Now I think this is going to be around for a while because we've tried a lot of different bottom bracket styles, and we're starting to standardize. Thank God, as a bicycle mechanic, there's a list, and that's probably why I don't have it in my brain yet. I haven't had to work on a lot of this bottom bracket. This bottom bracket has been solid. And as a bicycle mechanic, we haven't had to tear apart a lot of these. And if you have to, it's a threaded bottom bracket, so it's a very easy situation to get yourself into. This particular model has a mechanical 105 11 speed. 105 is a standard when things start getting good. As a bicycle rider and racer for years, if it was 105 or above, you had good stuff. And of course, the trickle-down technology from Dura Ace to Ultegra to 105 is really good. You know, while everything's going electronic shifting, I do like electronic shifting. I think there's definitely some advantages to it. But when you're trying to meet a price point, you can't beat Shimano 105. Like I said, this is 11 speed, not 12 speed, but they give you a big gear ratio. It's got an 11 to 34 on the back. And the front is a 50 to 34. So you can get a 1-to-1 gear ratio. And you still have enough gear if you get on the flats of the downhill to get this bike moving really fast without, you know, overspinning your cadence. So, and of course you can always change a rear cassette or something real easy if you're, you know, you're going someplace where you didn't need that much gear range. But for a stock bike, this is one that you can take almost anywhere in the country, not change a thing, and don't feel like you're underbiked. This bike can handle just about anything you throw at it. And for long days in the saddle, you can still feel comfortable after you ride it. As a long-term Specialized rider, I sell Specialized, I sell Bianchi. I didn't sell Treks till lately, but of course, there's a lot of Treks on the market. So I work on Treks. I've never badmouthed Trek. Anytime someone's asked me about Trek, I said, no, I don't sell that bike, but I've touched a lot of them. I work on a lot of them. They are quality bikes, and now I'm super proud to be able to offer these to my customers and me to ride them. I've raced a lot, and when someone lines up next to me in a race and they've got a Trek, I know they've got a good bike. Well, now I can ride a Trek, and I own a bicycle shop, so I just can't go buy everything I want. I'm on a budget, and I'm working with Trek on trying to get me a couple of my own models so I can really go test these things out and put them through the paces. Like I said, this is a bike that I've ridden on a test ride. I don't want to put too many miles on it. I definitely don't want to scratch it because this bike is actually going to go to a customer. So hey, Trek, if you're listening, get me some bikes, man. I want to ride these things. I want to put them head to head with the things I've been riding for years. I want to put them head to head with the Specialized and with the Bianchis and the Mozzis and the Cannondales. I ride a lot of bikes, but I've never ridden a lot of Treks. The Treks that I have ridden, I really liked. And now, like I said, I'm proud to sell this bike. They integrated this cockpit in an easy way for mechanics to deal with. I do have to run a lot of cables through frames, and some of them just are built really, really wonky. This is nice. It's nice and clean. And with the frame being open here, I'm able to actually run things down this frame, so it's not a mechanic's nightmare. It's still not as easy as open cables, but that's gone away. So just get used to it, bicycle mechanics. We're going to have to fish cables through, or fish, cables and hydraulics through frames. That's just what we're going to have to do for now. We're getting some really cool tools to make that happen. But a design like this does make it a lot easier, and it's clean, so this is not that integrated carbon bar, but there's an advantage to this. This is aluminum bar with a round shape that's easy to change. If I had to change these bars, it's unwrapping the bar wrap, and Trek, you did a great job on this bar wrap, by the way. It feels really, really good. I'm gonna have to find out what you guys are using because I want to sell it. But this is not a hard bike to fiddle with, even with the round, and of course this is a faux pas, so some of you guys are probably going to leave me comments on this, but I get customers that want to put an aero bar on their road bike. For years that was a faux pas. Now it's becoming more common, and I think because aero bikes have gotten so expensive, it's hard to have an aero bike and a road bike now. You know, I've got a lot of customers that are training and they're doing like couch to 5K. They're doing their first triathlons, and they're not really going out there to hit podiums. They're going out there to do the triathlon. They're going to try to do as good as they can. But a bike like this is so easy to throw on a set of aero bars on it. Of course, it does throw your fit off a little bit, but it's a round clip-on. I have customers right now that want aero bars on their aero handlebar, and you can't find a clamp that clamps down good and clean. So having a bar like this is good. It also lets you change things around. If you know you buy a bike and the fit's wrong, it's not a huge expense to throw on a different set of handlebars or something to make things a little bit more compliant. I actually had a customer that wanted a gravel bar, drop bar on their Domane, and they wanted the flare, and we were able to change that out within, you know, a little bit of time and not have to charge them a whole lot of money for it. So it is nice having an aluminum bar that's round, that's easy to work with, and cable management that is definitely manageable. And I've seen some nightmares, believe me. I'm not going to even mention some of the companies that those nightmares are coming from, but I'm not getting those problems from the Trek Domane. So we'll see when I start building up a Madone or something what it is. But the Domane has been an excellent bike. So if you're looking for a really good modern endurance road bike that's not going to break the bank and give you a lot of bang for the dollar, check out the Trek Domane. Of course, they make this in the aluminum models. They're making some really affordable models too. But, you know, as soon as you move up to the carbon, and like I said, this is the SL5. It's the same geometry as the higher, as the SLRs. Weight-wise, I don't really know what the difference in weight is. It's probably, you know, makes a difference when you're buying the R model. You know, it's got this cool blender stem, and on the stem you can put some accessories, some mounts for your Garmin and a light. I mean, they just made this bike really cool. It's very clean. I like how simple it is. I really wish I knew where my scale was, but believe me, it didn't. It was around 19 pounds, which is very respectable for, you know, a modern geometry, a carbon fiber endurance road bike. I ride a 15-pound Specialized Athos a lot of times, but that's a $9,000 bike, and really it's only a couple pounds lighter than this. And when I rode this bike, it rode very light. I didn't notice a huge difference in weight, and you would think $10,000 lightest bike, you know, production bike, to a mid-level Domane, you'd notice a difference. I really did notice a difference. And I think the aerodynamics of this bike actually trumped the weight of my Athos. Because when I was down on the back bay hitting 30 miles an hour, and believe me, I can't ride 30 miles an hour for that long, especially on this kind of bike. But I hit 30 miles an hour, and it just felt like it was easier to keep this bike going into the wind, where my Athos wasn't. So I think aerodynamics is starting to trump weight. When they're throwing aerodynamics and comfort into a endurance geometry bike and making it look like this, I mean, this bike's a winner. This bike is a winner. I can't wait to put more of my friends on this bike. And my friends that I sold the Specialized Roubaix to, believe me, I'm not cutting down that Roubaix. I'm still there to back you up. I still like a Roubaix. I've spent a lot of time on a Roubaix, but I think the Domane has won, you know, in a lot of the, if you compare the two, the Domane's, you know, beating the Roubaix in a lot of ways. And of course, I'm talking mid-level. I haven't been on the SLR Domane. I've been on the S-Works Roubaix. Oh my God, that's a nice bike. But it's also $10,000+, you know, so there's a big difference between the high level and the mid level, even though they have the same frame, geometry, and the same name. There's a big difference between the $3,500 bike and a $10,000 bike. I'm sorry, there just is. This Domane so far has very much impressed me. I'm going to ride it more. I want to get my own so I can really get out there and not be scared to scratch it, not be able to throw it on the gravel roads, not be able to hit potholes, not be scared to ride it down our beach boardwalk. But I wanted to throw something out there on it just so you guys know that I'm testing this bike now. And so far it's been very impressive to me. Like I said, my name is Bart Luther. I own Biloxi Bicycle Works. I am AKA the Bicycle Rider on YouTube. I'm very approachable. You can call me at the shop, Tuesday through Saturday, and possibly get a hold of me. If you're riding, if you're coming through the Gulf Coast as a visitor or something, you want to get some riding. Gosh, we've got some awesome riding. I love to ride my bike. I love to show customers and viewers my bike, to ride with you guys. So. Here on the Bicycle Rider YouTube, if you like what we do, and I'm very raw about this, nothing fancy, but it's still, if you like and subscribe, it lets YouTube see that you're watching my channel, and it rates me a little bit better. So yeah, like and subscribe if you do. I'm not going to go into all the specs. I know there's a lot of really good YouTube reviewers that will tell you every spec on this bike, and then you read it off a spec sheet. I'm not really going to do this. My videos are more about how the bike rides, how it performs, how my friends like them, and so just know it's a very good bike. I like it. Any questions, like I said, hit me up at Biloxi Bicycle Works. If you have a local Trek dealer, obviously, buy from your local dealer. Buy where you ride. As a guy that owns a bike shop, I definitely appreciate my customers buying from me. But I want, if you're have a local Trek dealer, definitely just use me as a resource and buy from them. So it's important to support your local bicycle shop, especially right now. If you want your neighborhood to have a bike shop, buy something from them and not just buy everything online. And I do own an online company called Cub Velo. So I play both sides of it, but I also see how important a bike shop is for a community. And Trek treats that community really well. I love what Trek is doing for the local riders. So let's go more into Trek later. This is about their bike, the Domane. It's a great bike. And for now, Bicycle Rider YouTube, I'm going to sign off on this one, but I really like the Domane, and the SL5 is the one that I've been testing. So more on this bike as I get to spend more time with it myself. And if anybody knows those executives up in Trek, tell them I need a bike to go put through the paces so I can make some more videos on it. All right, thank you guys. Appreciate you hanging with me.